You know, I guess this is technically an alternative to drinking bleach. It has more or less the same effect, right? I meant to get started a little bit earlier, but yo, I was really into Harvestella this morning. I got a lot of shit done. Oh, it's that COVID game. It is that COVID game.
Good morning, sleepyhead.
Okay, that actually is. Okay, yeah. I like that. Thank you. Thank you. The voice drew me up towards consciousness, but I didn't know if it was real or part of a dream. Yeah, I still don't know what my roommate's voice sounds like in the morning. Hi, Key. If you're ever dealing with me interpersonally, when I decide it's bedtime and then an hour after I've woken up, do not interact with me in any way, shape, or form. Avoid me like COVID. Because I am an absolute dick when I'm sleepy. I am a royal asshole. You want nothing to do with me because I'm going to rip you apart for even breathing at me. Just avoid me. If you need something, just slip a paper under the door and run. Also, John, you've been messaging me really late recently. You need more sleep. Fun fact. You've actually got that backwards. I message you after my alarm goes off. Today, I decided to start a new crochet. It always trips me up. New crochet project that wasn't on my to-do list, despite having a lot of projects both involving and not involving crochet on my list that have been there for months. Yo, that sounds like my backlog. When the fuck? Actually, no, I can do it. When am I doing this game's post game? When the hell am I finishing this game and by extension its sequel that I have downloaded on this? Still haven't finished, still haven't finished, still haven't finished, haven't finished. Yo, this is gonna be like a chill game at some point. Ha 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 ha. We're gonna find a way to make this a stream. We're gonna. Haven't finished. Yo, still need to finish. You wanna get DMC hate with me? Isn't that like midnight for you? It's literally 9 a.m. for me. Jonathan has Splatoon 3. We don't really talk about it. It's not that I'm opposed to Splatoon content, but the people who followed me from Lizzie just because Splatoon, and they aren't gonna be about my himbo shenanigans. They just want Splatoon. We're trying to encourage them to leave. Because it comes down to one of those things where would you rather be really popular and everybody knows you? Or would you rather have friends that actually want to be with you? I'm leaning towards people who want to be here. And so we're trying to cultivate that. And as such, we deprive them of what they want. Yo, speak of fame. Someone just followed me on Twitter. Can you please play Fortnite with me on my birthday? Maybe when's your birthday? And this isn't even to get started on my Steam list, because, like, how the hell am I gonna stream Valkyrie Elysium? I can't. Oh, I am gonna stream Rune Factory 5 on PC because I need to make you guys understand just how amazing Ludmilla is. Because, oh my gosh, she's perfect. And you don't understand. You don't understand it. That makes me angry. She's perfect. Anyway. June 2nd. Oh, thank you, computer, for having the current date in the bottom right-hand corner. Okay. Yeah, I could probably make that happen. We just gotta figure out what's going on with Ron. Well, at any rate. I don't doubt you. I don't doubt you, Jade. I heard a familiar creaking. Who could be walking up the stairs? I was pretty sure it wasn't me. Oh, he forgot he's got a roommate he's trying to screw. Just check the good old calendar, and June 2nd is on a Sunday. So you can probably work things out. Oh yeah, that'll be easy. Ron sleeps in too much? It's because Ron's up late. I just want to push through the Tsundere arc. Because, like, Rano, I'm cool with you, bro. It's just kind of hard when I message you, yo, what's up? And you straight up go, what the fuck do you want? Even if you follow up with a joke after, it's like, that shit's a mood killer. I don't know what to do with you, man. I'm trying. I know you care, but, like, I don't know. Ron left his phone on some bus in DC. Yikes. Just JFK'd him back. Well, that's the thing, is this, like, I kind of end up roasting him a bit too hard, and then I feel guilty. And he's like, no, I'm about it. And I'm like, bro, that shit was messed up. I'm sad though, because I'm gonna have to go back to sleep, normal sleep schedule, because right now school is from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. It's gonna go back from 9 to 3. Bummer. Just remember to make the most of the social opportunity, because once you're out of school, it is way harder to get to make friends. So work on that while you have the chance. No, I was definitely laying in bed. Go figure. My eyelids were heavy. My brain was only half awake. Stop talking about your brain. A weight pressed down on the bed near my feet.
Wakey, wakey.
Oh my gosh. Clip it. Oh, I need that soundbite. I need it. I'm going back to school tomorrow and I'm excited. Being on a bus at 7 a.m. Let's go. I'm gonna see the Mario this movie this Saturday. I'm kind of about it. Oh, yo, desktop audio. That shit's still muted. I can get this link super easy. I discovered something recently, and no, not Twitter. and it made me smile. And so, like, I'm gonna make it your guys' problem too. Hold up. There we go. Share. Copy link. Close this window. Control V. Why did you not Control V? There we go. Bam. I'm so excited because I didn't realize yet. Has it rammed in the constant dodging spoilers and Peach's song will finally be over. I don't know if I'm just like too drowsy from getting my ass handed to me the other day, but I'm not following that one. Also, I'm going in Mario cosplay. Let's fucking go. IDQ. What to make my alarm? It's still the Bowser song. My alarm was Sonic drowning music. Yo, I did that for a little while. I woke up way too stressed. Way too stressed. It sounded like Mallory. Go figure. I teetered on the edge of consciousness, hoping I'd be left alone to fall back into slumber. Get over it. The weight at the end of the bed shifted, shaking me a little. I squeezed my eyes shut. Man, homie don't work for a living.
Okay, you leave me no choice.
Oh boy. I'm jelly. You should rename the stream playlist to Himbo Doesn't Read. Just as a PSA for anyone who's like not on top of how I run my channel. Yeah, I don't name my streams anything meaningful. They're just shit posts. However, all of the playlists are updated chronologically, so you can keep track if you're trying to catch up or whatever there. I have the Splatoon 3 final boss theme as my alarm right now because it just works somehow. I've got 2 alarms. One of them is for me to get up, and that one's just kind of like, it's just chill beats. And then the other one is, damn it, I have to go to work, don't I?
Incoming Pounce Attack!
God, I'm so fucking jealous. No, it's too cute. No, it can't be this cute. Not in this game. No. Okay. I was jolted awake then, fully this time, by the force of Mallory jumping on top of me. Oh boy, it's the anime girl. That is the point of this game. Loser! You're supposed to laugh. Girly gave her heart to the wrong person. True. A panicked shout escaped me as I yanked up covers past my neck, leaving only my face explode. Exposed. Freudian slip. Mallory beamed, straddling me proudly, her clear aquamarine eyes filled with mischief.
Oops, did I scare you? Well, you left me no choice. I tried calling you, throwing things at you, and wafting delicious smells in your direction. None of those worked, so this was my last resort for getting you to wake up.
She's too good for him. She's too good for him. NGL, I wouldn't be surprised if someone made a Ichi-san. Nihongo Muzukashi yo. Edit of Girly. nobody knows about this game, so it's probably not gonna happen. I thought he spoke through text boxes. That's the box I clicked for him.
And it did the trick. You're awake now.
You're too good for this game. I don't know Japanese. I read subtitles. Relatable.
What kind of monster just pounces like that on a poor defenseless sleeping person?
Oh no.
Hey, how's it going?
He does have a voice. Shut the fuck up. I'm terrible. I don't care. I don't even care.
Monster, you say? Wow, you sure do know how to give a girl a compliment.
Okay, her game is on point. She's on point. I'm about it. Let's fucking go. I scowled at her playfully. I was pretty sure she was resting her whole weight on me, but she felt like nothing. Although I'd been legitimately startled and a little, more than a little confused, I found now that I didn't dislike this situation. Whatever you say, Mr. Pants Tent. If you're jumping about like this, does that mean your leg is feeling better? Mallory looked down at her bandaged leg and then back to me. I'm still not even sure what the hell that word is supposed to be. Pursed. I don't know. Look good, push buttons, say stupid shit. End of credentials.
It doesn't hurt as much, but it feels kinda weak. Like it might give out if I put too much weight on it.
This game. I didn't know enough to know if that was normal or what it meant. I nodded vaguely and just stared up at her. She stared down at me, and then I shook myself. So why did you need to wake me up so urgently? No. That is not what you do. In this situation, you just be fucking grateful. Just enjoy the moment, dipshit.
I made you breakfast and I didn't want it to get cold. And I was worried. You're usually up way earlier than this. And maybe I was a little lonely and sort of missed you.
Too good for this game. Too good for this game. Make it stop. What did she mean by usually up way earlier? I cranked my neck to check the clock at my nightstand. Oh, that was what she meant. Hey guys, what if I said my life is like a video game? I mean, it depends on the video game you're talking about. Because if you said my life is like The Sims, I'd be like, fair. If you said my life was like Twisted Metal, then I'd be like, have you talked to someone about that? Damn, what's up with me? I never sleep this long.
Sometimes your body just needs a little extra rest. Okay, now...
Mallory twisted, leaned over the bed, and produced, as if from nowhere, a plate of breakfast. This guy doesn't fucking deserve it.
Ta-da!
He doesn't deserve it. She held the plate out, showing me a stack of fluffy golden waffles. They smelled amazing, fruity, and sweet. Flecked? Ew. Please don't describe food as being flecked. Red and drizzling with maple syrup. Didn't mean to do that. My mouth was watering. I never knew that was an actual thing that happened to mouths. Food is scrumptious? True, though.
Strawberry waffles from scratch will do that to you. You'll have to tell me once you taste them, but I think I may have outdone myself this time. The only thing I did make from scratch is the syrup.
Food is off limits till sunset, unfortunately. Oof. How much longer till sunset? That's okay. I made this syrup from scratch. 'Cause of fucking course you did. By the way, you can get syrup from almost any tree, just not like, I think it's carnivorous? Things like pine trees, they don't have good maple syrup, but fruit trees, they have good maple syrup. They have good syrup. You can make that. That's a thing. I learned how to do syrup because I like learning shit. Learning shit's fun when people aren't forcing you to do it.
Wait, you did?
I nodded. It's not that complicated. You just gotta like put the tap on the sunny side and just make sure that you filter shit. Boil it down. That's about it. Jean very casually making stupid jokes, knowing very well that no one else will get it. Yo! That's me! That's me. But I mean, if it is the till sunset thing, was it Ramadan that does that? I don't remember when that is. So like, I figured I'm just gonna like keep my mouth shut and not talk about things I don't understand. There are tons of maple trees around here. I harvest their sap at the end of each winter. It's pretty simple. I drill small holes into the trees and insert what's called a spile, which is like a spout. The sap drains out through there and into a bucket, and then you boil it down. It's Ramadan, and it's right now, so I'm fasting. It's already nighttime for me, though, so I can eat things. Let's go. Y'all really need to get on my case about diet and exercise. You really do. I had fucking Hot Pockets before stream, and I feel like shit. Why do you let me do this to myself? Also, why does my Switch get so hot when it's here? I have to look into that. Anyway, not important right now. It's ending this Thursday, Friday. Ooh, almost there. When I have enough to fill the pot, I essentially boil it all down till mostly evaporated, and then it's syrup. And the best part is, it keeps forever, so I can just store it in glass jars in my pantry. Mallory had never looked happier or more amazed or more beautiful. This guy's shit.
That sounds like some kind of fairy magic.
Not really. Hi, back again. The real magic is your cooking. This is incredible. Although, do you mind taking it downstairs so we can eat there? I'd like to get dressed and, well, Mallory looked down at herself in the way she was straddling me, and her face turned bright red quite rapidly. She scrambled to get off me, nearly dropping the plate of waffles in her flustered state. Youngathan must get dad joked so much. She does. It's funny because she's kind of like, there's some of it where she's come full circle. She'll go, Dad, I'm hungry. I'll go, hi, hungry, I'm Dad. And she'll go, why'd you name me this way? Why? So full circle. Whenever I see someone I know, I always run up to them and go, hi, hello, hi. Yeah, we like that energy around here. We're about it.
I'll do that now. Sorry. See you downstairs.
Too cute. Without making eye contact, she raced down the stairs. Then came the sound of cutlery being fumbled with in the kitchen below. I dragged my hand down my face, equal parts amused, exasperated, and happy. I just stare them dead in the eyes before they say something. Oh boy. After breakfast, Mallory was quick to scoop up my plate and cutlery. I offered to help, but she said she would do them herself. Homie just wants a mom. By now, I had learned that there was no arguing with her, but I don't remember that she's my roommate. Not because she was particularly stubborn, but because I caved at the slightest pushback. Beta. She made me weak, but like in a nice way. Beta. So while she cleaned up, I walked to the window overlooking the garden. The skies were dark and dreary, far more ominous this morning than before. The ground glistened, and I could see little puddles on the path leading up to the door. They rippled as a gust of wind rushed past. Guess it's another day indoors. Look how glum the weather is. Homie, just get an umbrella. I glanced back at Mallory in the kitchen. She took a look through the window, making a little pouty face. Also, clouds like this mean we're not getting any solar, so we're relying on what's stored in the battery bank for now. We should limit how much electricity we use today. Then proceeds to, waste a bunch of electricity and say it's her fault.
Okay, I'll be extra careful.
This guy. Then I call him Dick Weasel or a tosser. I wonder how the water supply is going. Not good enough for him. Maybe I should try to actually focus on what's going on in the game. I mean, you do you. I'm just saying. Anything that isn't the girl talking is gonna be shit. That's the way this has been going, and I don't expect anything to change. Then I stole another glance back at Mallory. Mallory in her threadbare sweater dress. So thin and so short. Uh-huh. Stop talking about your brain. Dude, this is awkward. Outside, the rain was really coming down. I kept close to the edge of the cabin, sneaking along under what cover there was on my way to the woodshed. The ground was too muddy to use the wheelbarrow, so I figured I have to make more than one trip. Bro loves his brain more than poor girlie who's stuck with him. True. Speaking of water, today I found out one of my empty backup water bottles in my room wasn't actually empty, which was very convenient since I had a acid reflux at the time. Ooh. Way to be. Like, foresight, and you just take credit for it. Sure, it wasn't intentional, but take credit for it anyway. Maybe he'll find someone else to trap in his room. He probably will. And he's hoping it's a dog. I gathered up a big armload of firewood and brought it back to the cabin. I repeated this process, getting wetter and colder as I went. Uh-huh. Oh. Asshole's the only thing that's getting wet in this cabin. I'm a horrible person. I think I pushed R2. Hold up. Oh yeah, I skipped a lot of shit. Okay. On my last trip to the woodshed, it occurred to me that I would never have bothered with this much effort if it were only myself in the cabin. I would have made do with a few logs already inside, wrapped myself in blankets, and if it came to it, suffered the cold. But Mallory deserved better than that. First true thing this guy has ever said. I usually have backup water bottles in my room, since sometimes I go for hours without drinking water, and suddenly I'll go, oh my god, my throat is really, really dry. So it's just easier to have backup somewhere. After bringing all the wood inside, I laid it out. Alright, I had thoughts. Yeah, I'm bad with water bottles. Cause like, there's one in particular I use for like tea and shit. You know, the easier way to describe it is like this. There was algae in the water filter, and that shit was all my fault. Oh, I'm terrible. After bringing all the wood inside, I laid it out towel beside the fireplace. I always inspected the logs for bugs. Didn't want anything creepy hitching a ride inside my home. Bro, you're burning it. Once the task was done, I arranged a couple of logs along with some kindling to get this fire going in the fireplace. I sat there for a few minutes, stoking the flames while the wood hissed and popped. Soon the whole living room was toasty. Mallory appeared at my side and sat down. She leaned towards the fire, its orange glow warming her face. I caught myself staring at her and slapped my hands against my thighs. Well, I'd better make use of this time to get some work done on my computer.
Doesn't that use up the electricity?
The computer only draws around 250 watts. A couple hours won't make that much of a difference. Mallory stayed by the fire while I went to the desk and booted up my computer. The sound of drizzling rain outside and the crackling fire in the fireplace soothed me as I settled into my chair. I could live like this forever, I thought. The peaceful atmosphere was interrupted by an annoying cascade of chimes from my email. I took a peek at my inbox and saw more spam, of course. Why not? I opened up the first of the sketchy emails. Bomber cures for the virus discovery, says miraculous cure found. Uh-huh.
You never know. One of those headlines might turn out to be true someday.
Yeah, I know. Oh, Mallory, you're such an optimist. I rolled my eyes playfully. Without thinking about it any more than that, I deleted both the emails. Spent a few minutes checking websites that are part of my daily routine. Sites for tech news, world news, and weather. A random ad for amazing delivery services reminded me about the first aid kit I needed to replace. I decided I might as well grab some painkillers too, since there had only been a handful left in the bottle when Mallory asked me for one for her leg. She seemed much better now, but still, it was good to have things like that on hand. You never knew when a headache might strike or a joint might get sprained. I ordered the first aid kit and aspirin, and then something else caught my eye. It was a type of ad I'd never usually get, and certainly never paid mind to, but for some reason I did this time. It was a basic advertisement peddling some bleh, jewelry, but something compelled me to take a closer look. Yeah, you're learning what it means to be a simp. Beta. After clicking through, I was presented with an image of a stunning silver ring in the shape of a bow. The color and the sparkle immediately reminded me of Mallory. I have returned. Yeah, that one's harder to make a joke about, so good play. I wanted to buy it. Guilty. I've been there. Yep. For her. Good, I was worried you wanted to buy it for yourself. The next thing I knew, the order had been placed, and a message appeared letting me know that all 3 of my purchased items would be arriving via drone drop within the next few days. The whole order plus delivery fees was ridiculously expensive. What else was I gonna spend my money on? I leaned back in my chair, a little bit in disbelief of myself. I looked over at Mallory sitting on the living room floor. She had that old basket of clothing beside her, with a little pile of things neatly folded beside it. Her head was bent low over something in her lap. Her fingers were working away. I realized that she was using a needle and thread, sewing up holes and fastening buttons back where they belonged. Like, if you want to be a trad wife, good on you, honey. But like, it's the context that bugs me, you know? It's the context. Anywho. I forgot about the work I'd wanted to get done. I got up out of my seat and wandered over to look more closely at what she was doing. Are you mending my clothes? Okay, I know what a guitar is. What's a capo? it's her clothes now. True. She brightened.
Yes, those ones are already done, and these ones here are still in progress.
It's the clamp thing you put on the frets. So that's what it's called. I just like know it as the thing stuck on the end of a guitar. I didn't even know you'd been working on this. You know, cause like I'm not interested in your personal pursuits or values. I just want you as, you know, an item.
Well, normally I work on it before I go to sleep or when I first wake up. I find it sort of meditative.
You know, you don't have to do all these things for me.
I like keeping busy, and I like being helpful.
Too good for him.
Really, you've been so generous and kind taking me in like this. I just want to do everything I can to help you.
Okay, we're gonna get a little too personal here. This is what the shit was like at the beginning of my relationship with baby mama. And let me tell you, I'm a single dad now, and that was an adventure. So I'm just like pinning for mines. My goodness. That is not the right button. She kept working while she talked, so sweet and matter of fact. I smiled, and suddenly I really, really didn't want to bother with work. Okay, like, I get that last part, because I feel that. Oh boy. I just wanted to hang out with her. You know, I don't think I'm in the right headspace to work today. Luckily, I don't have any looming deadlines, so maybe I'll take the day off. We could just sit and enjoy the fire together. Maybe we could play a board game. Mallory looked up at me in surprise.
Ooh, I love games. What did you have in mind?
D&D. My dog and I were playing. You can take the dog's character. I searched my memory. What two-player games did I have kicking around? Most of the board games left in the cabin were more than a decade old. They were ones I used to play with my family when we vacationed here, and many of them were probably missing cards or pieces. She can watch The Forge. Let's go. How about chess? Do you know how to play? And so, of course, I've got a fucking chess story. So, I was at the dojo, and I'm not totally certain why I was just chilling, but there was one of the kids that was there, and he was sitting at a chess set by himself. And it's like, you know what? Sure, why not? Hey kids, you want to play? Sure. And so I played a game of chess with him. And wasn't really thinking, I was just moving pieces. And it got to the point where it's like, yeah, there's nothing I can do. It's just now waiting the turns out till he wins. This, 8-year-old hits me with, you just keep making really stupid moves. And it's like, duly noted. I won't play with you ever again. Oh, that's okay. It's life. Surely the chess set on the game shelf would still be intact, and those old pieces would be thrilled to get some use after all these years. broski was ruthless, kinda.
Chess? Yes. I used to play with my sister sometimes. I'm probably not very good at it.
Me either, honey. That's okay. Neither am I. Proceeds to win, hands down. I'll grab the game. Meet me at the table, okay? I went to retrieve the chess set, just where I remembered. And underneath the bunks I unearthed the box and was dusting it off with my sleeve when I heard Mallory make a little noise.
Uh-oh.
I turned to check on her. She was still sitting on the floor beside the fireplace. Mended clothing strewn about. What's wrong? She raised her hand to her lip and began biting her nail.
I can't get up. My leg's fallen asleep.
Yeah, sitting like that does that, doesn't it? Her words brought back a familiar phrase she said the night we met. I chuckled and reached out my hand to her. I can't. I say shit like this to insult you, my dude. I can't. She smiled and accepted my hand to lift her up. Yeah, she smiled. Let's go with that. Funny how I didn't even think twice about it anymore. White or black? We sat the board out on the table and started setting up the pieces.
White, please.
I sat down on the black side of the board and finished arranging my pieces. There even is? Jay do be zooming around, don't you? And I finished arranging my pieces. When I looked up, Mallory was examining the box with that word again. Are you missing a piece?
Looks that way. I don't mind subbing in a salt shaker or something else to play with.
Aren't salt shakers, like, big? No way, we should play with real pieces. Uh-huh, you would say that. She gave me a look. It was sort of dismissive, sort of disheartened, but I managed I meant what I said, and I knew how to cheer her up. Seriously, I can make you a proper chess piece, and I can make it look however you like. Yeah, I got a message, but it turns out they didn't mean to message me. Kinda stung. Yeah, I had the exact opposite problem. Mallory stared at me, one eyebrow a little higher than the other.
How?
I held out one finger and headed towards my computer desk. Right, he 3D printed cotton. Right, okay. I took the equipment out that uses a lot of time and electricity and hooked it up to my computer, giving her a quick overview as I did. This is just a small one, but it's very useful and quite simple. I just plug in the USB cable to my computer and then use a program to tell the printer what to make.
Whoa, that's so cool.
Not really.
I'm missing the queen. Can it make that piece?
I let out a theatrical laugh, throwing my head back as I did so. Who is this guy? Ah ha ha. This baby can make anything your heart desires. Ask and you shall receive. She cradled her chin while in thought.
I desire a cat.
Jade, let's go. Let's go. Oh, you got your square after all. I'm so happy for you. A cat queen? All right, that works.
Can I watch?
The enthusiasm she showed left no room for arguments. I loaded up my software to search for a cat and picked out a cute figurine. I set up the printer to let Mallory press the very last OK button to get the process started. Several indicators on the lights on the 3D printer flashed as it got to work. It started to hum and whir.
It's like something out of science fiction.
Okay, like, that's actually kind of cute. Mallory tilted her head to get a better look at the printer. She stood up and leaned over, watching the cat being formed from above. Yeah, thanks for pointing it out, you perv. The angle exposed her cleavage and broad. I tried not to look, unsure if she was aware of what her positioning was putting on display. I'd rather assume it was a mistake and not take advantage of it, no matter how attractive the sight was. You just keep telling yourself that, bro. You just keep telling yourself that. We were both quiet while we waited, level after level of the cat queen being built upon itself. And about 4 minutes later, we had our replacement chess piece. I removed the piece from the printer, handing it to Mallory, and watched her expression turn from amazement to joy.
It's perfect.
And it wasn't the only thing. We sat down to play, and the conversation came so easily. We shared what we knew about chess, how we each learned to play, and how the game itself dated back to the 15th century, and how these days most people play it online. Can you imagine this guy at parties? It doesn't take 5 minutes to 3D print something, right? Especially depending on the kind of printing you're doing. Oh. We talked about Deep Blue. Oh my gosh. You want to actually have an interesting conversation about Deep Blue? When it did beat that chess grandmaster, the room was like freaking 90 degrees, and people were very loudly complaining about the situation, and IBM's like, get stuffed, we have our computer we need to promote. It was really a fucked up situation. And like, if you look at the footage, the guy's just dripping in sweat, not because he's like that focused, but because it was stupid hot in the room. It was rather ridiculous. Anecdotes from our childhood, questions we had about the universe. It turned into one of those days where time just passed you by, impossible to notice. Until Mallory sat up straight while I was contemplating my options, pointing urgently.
Hey, look! There! The clouds are breaking.
Okay. No, I'm not falling for that. You just want me to turn my back so you can move pieces around. You trickster, you. I tisked at her, shaking my head, and she laughed.
No, seriously. Look, the sun is shining over there. Can we go outside to look at it?
I twisted in my seat, and through the window I could see the great gray sky, and there, over the mountains, a glowing crag, shedding golden sunbeams down onto the land. Wow. Okay, yeah, good idea. And I know the perfect viewing spot. 'Cause you never leave your house. Mallory gleefully hopped off her chair and took my hand in hers. Outside, the air was damp. We walked together around the side of the house to the ladder I used the other day. I climbed up first and then helped Mallory up the last ladder rung and over the edge of the roof. Her hands felt so little and fragile in mine. Watch your step. It's still wet and might be slippery. Luckily, the ridges help give traction. We stood side by side, and out of an abundance of caution, and only abundance of caution, I held her. Oh, this guy. The sun was on its way down, and I could tell the sunset was going to be incredible. What do you think? Pretty good spot to watch the sunset. Mallory took a few steps forward, leaving my hands empty, and I shoved them into my pockets. For a moment, everything was quiet. I scanned the world around me and saw gray clouds streaking downwards in the distance. Trees in heavy shadow as their tips lit up by the sinking sun. The ruins of the city nestled in the thriving landscape, and her. She let out a long, careful sigh, turning slightly back to look in my direction.
It's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen.
That's what he thought too. But he's not talking about the scenery. A cool wind blew past, catching her shining platinum hair and sending a few strands dancing around her head. There was something mournful in her tone, and it made my heart ache.
Thank you, from the bottom of my heart, for showing me all of this.
Still deserves better. I stared at her, wondering why she sounded so sad, yet also understanding that her sadness was the same as mine. God, she was beautiful. I stared and didn't know how I'd live so long without her. Something changed up there on the roof. I came back to myself when a strong, cold gust rushed past me, and I realized the sun had dipped beneath the horizon. I spent the whole time watching Mallory instead of watching the sunset.
It's already over? It happened so quick.
Yeah, it did. Mallory had her arms wrapped around herself. I saw goosebumps on her legs and a little shiver in her shoulders. I don't know about you, but I'm freezing. Shall we go back in?
I never paid attention before. I never cared.
She was so sad. I wanted to make it stop for her, but I didn't know how. Oh, this guy. Okay. Maybe the most beautiful things are beautiful because they're fleeting. You have to appreciate them while they're there. But hey, there'll be another sunset tomorrow. He assumed. Jonathan, I'm in a mood. Shut up, Bacchus. Yo, true. Well, if I can help with your mood, let me know. I'm more than happy to. If it's in my power, just ask. It was getting dark now. I felt a few raindrops, and the air felt heavy and sharp. It's starting to rain again. Come on, let's go in. Mallory turned slowly, nodding, not looking me in the eye. I stood there by the ladder. After you. Her head was bowed, and she moved so tentatively, but I couldn't tell whether it was because she was sad or because she was nervous. She can run. Run away, girly. True. Give her some space. She just looks so withdrawn. I didn't want to invade her space, so I figured that if she wanted help, she'd ask for it. Give her some space so she can run. Don't you know, Jade? This encounter is a trainer battle. They don't let you run. She didn't. She just shuffled towards the ladder, hesitating for a moment at the top. Then she turned around. Her foot slipped. She lurched. Arm reeling with a jolt of fear, I grabbed her. She regained her balance by clinging to my arm. This is not chill with Cat. Oh, Mallory, be careful. She let out a shaky breath. I know I joked about it before, but falling off rooftops is not actually something we want happening. Are you okay?
I just got a fright, that's all. I'm okay.
Still, she continued holding on to me as she lowered herself down the ladder. I waited until she reached the ground before I climbed down after her.
Thanks for being my hero again.
He hasn't done that. Sure, always happy to help. She smiled at me and we carefully made our way back inside the house. The fire had burned low, but the inside of the cabin was warm and inviting. I felt a strange sense of calm.
It's so nice in here. I didn't realize how cold I was.
I nodded, resisting the urge to remind her about the jacket I offered every time we went through the door. I could tell she wasn't in the mood for me to poke fun at her. Okay, hold up, wait. This guy could tell she's not in the mood for that. Okay. It was getting late. My stomach ached for something to eat, and I was sure she needed something too. How about I heat up something from the freezer, and while we're waiting, we can have tea. It's my turn to make it this time. You get some water, Jade. Get some water. Stay hydrated.
That sounds nice.
She settled herself by the fire, gazing into the glowing embers. She seemed a million miles away. I made my way over to the kitchen and filled up the kettle. I took out a container of stew and began the process of thawing it on the stove. I searched through my pantry for a particular jar of loose leaf tea, something I wanted her to try, and waited for the water to boil. When the tea was made, I poured Mallory's into a tacky cat mug my mother had bought at a yard sale once upon a time. I was glad to see Mallory's eyes light up when I handed her the mug.
Oh my, this is the cutest.
I thought you might like it. I'm Himba, don't think. I sat by her on the couch. The rain was coming down again, drumming hard on the window. We sat just listening, sipping our tea.
This tea is super yummy. Where did you get it from?
Phew, I was hoping you'd say that. I actually made it myself. U.S. trained sniper copy pasta. If you didn't like it, I probably would have told you it was a free sample that came in the mail or something.
You really made it? Like you grew it in your fish garden?
Yep, harvested the tea leaves myself, dried them, tested different blends.
That's amazing. Who taught you all that?
I'm just cool. My mom did. She was a doctor, but she always had an affinity for herbal home remedies too. You know, ginger for an upset stomach, honey for a sore throat, antibiotics for an infection. When I was a kid, I didn't know there was any difference. All I knew is that whenever I was sick or hurt, my mom would whip out some drink or solve she made. Some drink or solve that made everything better. Blah. It was like witchcraft. She was really. Oh shoot, I did it again. Oh shoot, I did it again. Oh shoot, I did it again. It's very sensitive and it's a big button. She was really the one who taught me about plants, how to take care of them, how they were used. Remembering my mother like this made my throat feel tight, brought a tear to my eye and a smile to my lips. It was a strange feeling, totally bittersweet. Mallory's voice softened.
Your mother sounds incredible. If she was a doctor, then she probably saved many lives.
Yes, she and my father both helped save many people. Gathering the courage to continue talking about them, I took a deep breath and closed my eyes. They both died helping people. Until the bitter end, they tried to save as many lives as possible. Mallory put her hand on top of mine. It was unusually warm, probably as a result of holding onto the tea mug.
They left behind a wonderful person, and you should be proud of that fact. I'm sorry that you lost them.
Did they though? Did they though? Hearing her kind words nearly sent me into another wave of emotions, but I managed to hold them back. Beta, cuck behavior. Thanks. So it's your turn again? I've told you about my parents and my dog, but you still haven't told me anything about your family. Uh-huh. I tried to make my voice sound light and teasing, but I was serious. I wanted to know her. Her hand twitched, and for a second, I was afraid she would take it away. But she didn't. She just stared at me with a silence that went on so long I felt I had to fill it. Honestly, Mallory, why are you so secretive? Why can't you tell me what you were doing in the rain on that night? I just want to know what brought you to me. I have returned. Hi, I pushed a bad button. I pushed a really bad button. Oh my gosh, like, we went through 6 panels, I swear. I also had to entertain my sister because something happened. Sister. That did it. She pulled away and sank a little deeper into the couch, looking so sorrowful it hurt.
I'm scared to talk about it. Just thinking about it hurts so much. And I'm afraid that if I say it out loud, I won't be able to take the pain.
I frowned. I understand, but if you share it with someone who cares about you, then they'll carry some of that pain too. You won't have to shoulder it alone. I mean, like, share your pain with me because I caused how much of it. Supporting people. Jade, you are here. Better than he'll ever be. You can shoulder it with 3 other people. Oh, you're awesome. I'm not reading this line. She smiled softly.
I do want you to know me. To know about them. My family. Life was hard, but I loved them so much. It was just me, my mom, and my little sister. That was my bubble. We lived in a 2-bedroom apartment. We learned to do a lot with the little. Cooking nice meals out of subpar food, dressing up in old worn-out clothes, reenacting our favorite books when we couldn't read because the power was out again and there was no light. Our mom was a factory worker, so she had to go out every day to earn money for us so that we could at least survive. When she started showing symptoms, they sent her home. She tried to protect us. She stayed in her room, but we still went in, always trying to get her to eat or drink, giving her aspirin to keep down that awful fever. She kept telling us to stop coming in. We called for an ambulance already, but we were still on the waiting list. And what were we supposed to do? Leave her to die alone in her room? Well, she did die. My sister was with her when it happened. But I was out in the kitchen making us all something to eat. I can't even remember what it was.
A tear ran down Mallory's cheek.
By the time it was our turn for the ambulance to come, it was only to take away a body. My sister and I, we didn't know what to do. How were we going to be able to buy food or pay for electricity? We were at the mercy of companies already struggling to produce anything. Factories in the middle of shutdowns due to waves of sickness. And it just seemed hopeless. But, you know, we had learned about people living outside the cities. Smaller communities living off the land instead of trying to survive the old way. We thought, if that was real, maybe we should just leave the city behind. Somehow figure out a way to be like those people. Like you.
I nodded. For a long time, I wondered why anyone would have ever chosen to stay in the cities. Eventually, I realized not everyone was lucky enough to have inherited an off-the-grid cabin like I did. Oh, I hate this guy. I couldn't imagine the possibility of getting started from scratch. Mallory gripped the edges of her sweater dress so tightly, she trembled.
About a week after our mom died, my sister gave me some laundry she just finished washing. She asked me to hang it out on the balcony to dry, and while I did that, she locked me outside. I thought it was a prank at first, but she wouldn't let me in, and I got upset. I was banging on the door, yelling at her through the glass to open up. She told me she couldn't because she was sick. She'd started developing symptoms the night before, and she struggled with it all night and all morning, and finally, I begged her to open the door. She refused. She said there was no safe way for us to stay together. Our mother's attempts to protect us hadn't worked, so my sister decided to take drastic action while she could.
My heart sank like a stone with every word she spoke. Wow, it really is The Last of Us, isn't it? Basically, I guess. She locked you out to save you. Mallory nodded slowly.
We both cried, looking at each other from opposite sides of the glass, while she begged me to go. So, I did. I climbed down the fire escape and just started walking. I wandered along the river and out through the suburbs into the woods. I didn't have anywhere to go, so I just kept on going. Eventually, I was heading up the mountain, totally lost, and that's when I found this place.
I thought she was locked her up because she was an asshole. It would track. I shook my head, completely at a loss for words. I never could have imagined that this was her tale, even when she first came to me, bleeding and rain drenched. She'd been bright and kind and helpful. Then I remembered the quiet little sobs I had heard after turning my back up on the and the way she sometimes seemed so far away. And I wanted to wrap her up in my arms and hold her so tight that no more grief could touch her. She turned and smiled at me through her tears, and I realized how good she was at putting on that brave, optimistic face. Bro learns empathy. True.
I still think that maybe, somehow my sister's okay. Maybe she called for help and they came in time and found room for her in a hospital ward, and she's fighting right now to pull through. I wonder if this was fate all along. I found you, and you taught me all these things. And we're all going to be just fine.
Stunned by her words, I slid off the couch and kneeled before her, my body acting on its own. Relieved that she was safe here with me, I took her hands in mine to rescue her. I think you're right. I think it was fate. Because as much as you needed someone like me, I needed someone like you even more. I felt like I was drowning in her eyes. The rain was beating down outside, roaring louder as gusts of wind sent torrents crashing against the cavern. I felt this closeness with her, and I hungered for more. More talking, more bantering, more laughter. More time, not saying that, more everything. Someone like me, what an asshole. Yeah. Through the noise of the rain, I heard the pot of stew, and I left the stove. I left on the stove starting to bubble, blah. I should check that. Mallory wiped her tears as I got up and returned to the kitchen. The stew had thawed and heated through quite nicely, especially considering how I'd left it unattended for so long. Imagine how awkward it would have been to serve her burnt food after that whole talk. I brought Mallory a bowl. She thanked me, and we sat and ate and talked a little, the conversation growing lighter as the cabin darkened. The storm kept on outside, and soon rolling clouds of thunder were shaking the sky. Mallory's face grew paler as the noise grew. She set her empty bowl aside and shifted uncomfortably, eyes glistening.
It's gotten pretty late. I guess we should go to sleep.
Are you okay?
Oh, totally. I just feel a little on edge during storms, that's all. No big deal. It's really, really fine.
Okay, well, there's a crank flashlight on the desk over by the door if you feel like you need some backup light. And you know I'm just upstairs. Good night, Mallory. I climbed upstairs, got undressed, and crawled into bed. I stared at the ceiling as rain poured on the window beside me, wind howling down over the mountain range. I thought about everything Mallory had told me, everything that had happened between us over the past few days. I turned off the lights. Slowly, I drifted towards sleep, less and less aware of the flashes of lightning and the booming thunder. Almost there. I started to dream without fully realizing it, imagining that my old house cat, Fidget, had crawled into the bed with me, imagining that my bed was floating on ocean waves. A crack of thunder was louder than the rest, and a squeal coming from somewhere very close woke me. Mallory peered at me from beneath my own bed sheets. For a moment, I thought it was a dream, but no, I could feel her there beside me, trembling.
I'm sorry. I lied and I'm not fine. I don't like thunder. I just get so scared. I can't help it.
The tremors in her voice were even worse than her body. I suspected the storm had made her a little uneasy, but I had no idea she'd been frightened down. She'd been fighting down this much terror. Blah. I swear I can read, guys. I sat up, reaching for her, my only instinct to comfort and protect. That was when I realized I was in my underwear. Maybe she wouldn't notice. This game makes me feel so bad for this damn anime girl. Yeah. That's why I watch anime. It makes me cry. I'm not watching My Hero Academia. No, I'm watching Plastic Memories and I'm crying for shit like this. Except unlike this, the dude in Plastic Memories isn't an asshole. He has relatable problems. It's okay. It's only noise. It'll be over soon. The only anime I've ever watched made me cry. Yeah, you had a tweet that said Angel Beats, right? Yeah, that one will get to you. That one will get to you. She nuzzled into me, sniffling. Her face was red, moisture glistened on her face and chest. She was sweating and crying, and her heart pounded so hard. I could feel it through the mattress.
I don't want to sleep alone tonight.
It really did get to me. If you ever want to go through that shit again, I've got recommendations. I'm just saying. Okay, it's okay. Bro is definitely into sweat. I stopped short in disbelief at how much my mindset had changed. How had I gone from refusing to be anywhere near her to this? That's exactly what I'm wondering, bro. How had I gone from refusing to be anywhere near her to this? She was in my bed, and we were breathing each other's air, and I hadn't even checked her temperature.
I want to stay with you.
She whispered this, touching my hand, her eyes pleading with me. She was so beautiful. Yeah, what you should be thinking right now. All I wanted to do in that moment was kiss her. And now we have her little options here. So what do we do, Jade? Why does the sweat fetish exist? Why does a vor fetish exist? It's not possible. It only exists in fiction, but it's a thing. Alright, Jade, what do we do? I don't know what to do. Well, pick. This ain't gender. We're stuck with a binary. I don't know. Well, the longer you take to decide, the longer this series lasts. You're the one looking for the fourth square. Come on. Way to be, champ. I decided not to move. Too afraid of ruining this already perfect moment. She had come to me for safety and comfort, and I wanted to give that to her. Holy shit, homie being half decent for once in his life. His breath probably stinks anyway. Remember, he doesn't change his clothes, but he does care about good oral hygiene. Of course you can stay. Get comfortable, okay? She shifted closer to me, resting her head on the pillow next to mine. She sniffled, giving me a soft smile as I stroked her hair.
Thank you for everything. You make me feel so safe.
I'm embarrassed to admit it, but I have trouble brushing my teeth. Yeah, I never really developed a habit for it because, like, I spent so long being suicidal. It's like I wasn't bathing, I'm just brushing my teeth. And, well, like, the face you can kind of catch up on, teeth not so much. I watched Mallory's eyes fall shut. Her breathing became deep and slow, and thought she'd fallen asleep. That little smile never faded. True. So true. So true. I kept stroking her hair. It felt so soft between my fingers. I was hypnotized. How had I lived alone for so long? How had I not known what I was missing? As the storm gradually retreated, the night grew darker and quieter. I struggled to keep my eyes open. Maybe I was a little afraid that if I let myself fall asleep, I'd wake up to find this was all a dream. But eventually, I fell asleep anyway. Okay. I don't think we're getting 2 more chapters in today, but we can do 1 more and save the finale for tomorrow. The next morning, I awoke to the sound of rain softly pelting the windows. The storm had passed, leaving only a damp, drizzly day behind. I kept my eyes closed and listened. I could hear the faint sound of the rain dripping from the downspouts along the house. I stretched out my arms. The bed around me was empty and cold. Tomorrow I'm gonna see if Cocaine Bear is at the TV in the movie store. I hope it is. Mallory was gone, but I knew she'd been there before because I could still feel her on my skin. The cabin felt extra chilly. I got out of bed, dressed up warm. Pulling on a pair of worn out slippers, I made my way downstairs. Right away, I spotted Mallory in the kitchen, and I felt my face break into a smile. She had a bucket and a bunch of rags out, and she seemed to be cleaning quite furiously with a cloth and spray bottle in hand. Good morning. She startled upright, fumbling and dropping the spray bottle. It clattered on the floor at her feet. Yo, someone just followed me on Twitter. I'm happy for you, Jade. You keep being awesome, popular, and famous.
You scared me.
Sorry. I guess these slippers add a +1 to my sneak ability. Okay, so like that is a joke that I would make, but I make it better. I would wash heavily and lengthily if I slept next to this tosser. Mallory bent to pick up the bottle, and when she stood back up, I noticed how red her cheeks were, and how the rest of her face almost looked sickly pale. Are you feeling okay? She quickly averted her gaze.
I'm fine. I just got dizzy from standing up so quickly.
Oh boy. I didn't think I really believed her. She was feeling awkward, maybe even hiding something. Had I done something to make her uncomfortable? Oh my gosh, my dude, your social awareness skills just like went through the roof out of nowhere. What kind of Necronomicon did you go for this charisma stat? What the hell? I looked around at the sparkling kitchen, the cabinets, appliances, and dishes all gleaming like new. You must have woken up really early to do this, to get this much work done. Did you get enough sleep?
What's that? Oh, yes I did.
And then her face softened, her tone turned sincere.
I think last night was the best sleep I've ever had.
My heart fluttered with acknowledgement, and with the memory of falling asleep with her in my arms. That sentence feels weird. Is it just me? That sentence feels weird. No, because of bro. Not because of bro. Because it was a comfy bed. True, the first time she slept in a bed. Good, I agree. She nodded and turned back to finish up her chores in the kitchen. I decided to check in with work stuff, so I booted up my computer. There were only a handful of emails needing attention. I handled those and glanced through my work deadlines, making sure I was still on track with each of my freelance jobs. For whatever reason, I wasn't finding it easy to focus. I kept glancing out the window and then zoning out as I watched the dribbling rain. It really showed no signs of stopping. I noticed an empty glass I'd left on the table outside was filled to the brim with water. The soaked wooden planks on the deck looked dark like caramel. I thought about the coming winter. I'd have to show Mallory how to protect the garden and the hens and the bees when the cooler weather came. Oh boy. At least Girly can bathe with the water. True. And then there were all the fun things we could do together. I wondered if she'd ever gone tobogganing before, or had a bonfire out in the snow, if I could find somewhere online to buy marshmallows and ordered them right away. They might get dropped off sometime in the winter. There came a sudden clattering and thud in the kitchen. I jumped, nearly knocking my coffee mug off the desk. Mallory? She didn't answer. I stood up quickly, walking over to see what had happened. My throat tightened when I looked past the counter. Mallory lay sprawled on the floor, her cheeks red and beads of sweat gleaming on her forehead. Her eyes were closed and her head gently lolling to the side. Mallory! I rushed to her side, dropping to my knees and propping her up in my arms. The touch of her skin warmed my hands. She was burning up. A groan left her lips and her eyes fluttered open. Mallory, are you okay?
Hey there. Why are we on the floor?
Her gaze seemed to drift past me, as though she were having a hard time focusing. You must have fainted. I knew something wasn't right. Why didn't you tell me?
I'm fine. It was just a sudden dizzy spell. I haven't eaten breakfast, that's probably it.
It's probably like tetanus and gangrene, you dipshit. But I could feel her body starting to tremble. Her skin felt fever hot, and yet there were goosebumps on her arms and legs. Shit. My only instinct now was to make sure she was okay. I lifted her up off the floor.
Oh my, what are you doing? Ew, put me down!
Okay, cute. I quickly carried her over to the couch with my man muscles. I covered her in blankets and tucked her in tightly. My face set with a grim determination. Undertale song. I brushed her hair back to feel her forehead, ignored the anxious way my stomach clenched. I darted back into the kitchen to grab the temperature scanner from the drawer and returned to Mallory's side.
Honestly, I'm fine. I probably just overworked myself.
Not buying it. That is a very good sound. That is a very good sound. My favorite thing about this game. I held up the scanner. It seemed to take forever and ever to come up with a reading, and when it did, my heart sank. You definitely have a fever. Mallory seemed to shrink under the blankets. Seeing her like this, look so helpless and uncertain, made my heart feel like it was being painfully squeezed. Is it your leg? Let me take a look at it. Maybe you've developed an infection. You know, from the Rusty Bear trap. Because he's had COVID all along, right? Friggin' asystematic dick. When did you start feeling sick? This morning? We can get your temperature under control with some aspirin, no worries. And then we'll go from there. I don't know when I had started to pace, but there I was, headed this way and that, making my way over to the kitchen, searching for whatever it was that could help her. I filled a glass of water and reached into my cabinet for the aspirin bottle, grateful to have kept a supply. Except it wasn't there. Where was it? Had I misplaced it? Maybe Mallory had put it away somewhere else by mistake. I brought her the glass of water anyway, and used a damp cloth to cool her forehead. Shh, just relax and let me take care of you for a minute, okay? She opened her mouth to argue, probably, but backed down when she saw the look in my eyes. I moved to her feet and pushed back the blanket to expose her injured leg. I carefully unwrapped the gauze and peeled back the bandages to see what was going on. There was bruising around the wound, and it was still a bit swollen, but then it had only been a few days. Where did he learn to care? That's what I've been saying this whole time. That's exactly what I've been saying I was afraid of. The healing process for someone like this would take weeks. I should be keeping a closer eye on this. I shook my head. Drink your water, okay? And you should have something to eat. What would you like?
I'm not really hungry. I just feel a bit tired. I'm sure I'll feel good as new if I just have a little nap.
I let out a concerned sigh, but agree. After tucking her in a little tighter, I crossed back into the kitchen and stood aimlessly for a minute or two. I didn't know what to do. Make her a pot of soup. Good idea. Carrots, onions, celery, potatoes. Potatoes? Oh no, of course I don't have potatoes. I muttered to myself as I searched the kitchen for ingredients, then began... I said it the way it's spelled. And then began roughly chopping what I had. There was some rice in the pantry, I knew, and had some peas in the freezer. Soon I was tipping my soup ingredients into a pot with a shower of salt and dried parsley. I covered it all with stock I had made from chicken bones and veggie scraps and set it to simmer. When I crept back over to check on Mallory, I found her deeply asleep. I exchanged the damn cloth on her forehead and piled more blankets around her, then just sat and watched her, feeling dismayed. Where did Broski learn to cook? He's been living by himself since he lost his dog, so he can cook basic stuff. Deep down, I knew what this could be. COVID. Bum, bum, bum. But I didn't want to think about that. Bum, bum. And if I did have to think about it, I didn't want to believe it. And if I had every reason to believe it, I don't know. I'd throw myself in a fire, I guess. No, I stood up and returned to the kitchen, giving the bubbling soup a stir, and then remembered the aspirin. I started searching for it again, checking each of the drawers and cabinets. I searched in the bathroom and in the living room, even going down on my knees to see if it had rolled beneath some furniture. That's when I spotted it beneath the couch where Mallory was resting. I reached under the couch and grabbed the bottle. A feeling of immense dread began to form within me. I could already tell by the weight of the bottle and the silence as I turned it. But I had to see it to believe it. I popped off the cap and looked inside. The bottle was empty. At least 20, maybe 30 tablets gone in less than a week. I get it. Cabin fever. 'Cause she's gonna die from a fever in the cabin. I get it now. It makes sense. I see what you did there. That's clever. Hee-haw. I looked at Mallory's sleeping face. I jumped at a loud thwack at the window. A duck flew into it. No, really. We had a duck fly into a window at work one day. Broke through it, and the class is freaking terrified because a window just shattered and now there was a confused, angry duck going around, and that was a day. And like, one of the assistant principals showed up and he thought, I'm gonna just like throw a bunch of popcorn on the floor, and when the duck goes to eat the popcorn, I'm gonna grab it. And what do you know? The duck didn't want the popcorn. And so now we had to clean up a ton of broken glass and a bunch of popcorn. Ducks, man, I'm telling you. Also, don't look up the breeding habits of ducks. Don't do that to yourself. Jonathan, is there a dead body update? No, this is the part where they just like straight up rip off Corpse's Bride. Irrationally, I wonder if someone threw it wrong. Maybe it was more likely that a bird had flown into the glass, especially considering how clean it had been since Mallory came to stay. Unfortunately, I know. Ducks, man, I'm telling you. I went to the window. Sure enough, a large black bird lay dead on the porch. It appeared to have snapped its neck when it hit the window. Oh, I love this. Oh, I love this so much. Mallory would hate to see that. I glanced back at her, a little worried I'd have to wake her up by talking to myself. But even the loud noise of the bird hitting the window hadn't caused her to stir. In that moment, I realized I was still clutching the empty aspirin bottle. I looked down at it. Must have been taking them in secret. But why? For the pain in her leg? Or for some other ailments? An overwhelming sense of frustration washed over me in that moment, and without thinking, my hand had squeezed the bottle so tight that it broke. I threw the broken bottle in the trash and stormed outside to deal with the dead bird's body. It wasn't until evening that Mallory had woke up. She started coughing right away, even as she sat up, clutching the blankets close to herself.
Huh? What time is it?
Don't get up, at least not so fast. Let me help you. I stood in the kitchen tending to the soup I had been keeping warm for hours. Mallory looked around, groggily, rubbing her eyes. True.
But it's nighttime. Why did you let me sleep so long? I only wanted to rest for an hour or so.
That's not what your body wanted. I'm glad you got some rest anyway. It was clearly much needed. I thought I told her not to move yet. She bundled the blankets around her and made her way over to the kitchen.
Hi.
She leaned against the support beam. Her cheeks were still red, and her eyes looked heavy. The way she wrapped the blanket around herself made her resemble a colorful turtle, with her long, slender arms poking out to hold onto the beam. How do you feel?
My muscles are a bit achy, but I don't feel cold anymore. I think all the blankets you piled on top of me helped.
I nodded and turned my attention back to the stove. I wanted to ask about the aspirin, but I was nervous.
Wait, are you cooking?
She took a step towards me, trying to peer into the pot, then wobbled and had to return to the support beam. It looked as though she barely had any strength to stand. I bit my tongue, not wanting to be overbearing. I'd get her to sit down by offering her some food. I am. It's all ready to eat now. Go have a seat and I'll bring you your bowl. I half expected her to argue, to insist that she could get her own bowl and that I should sit while she served me. But instead, she just backed away and sat at the table.
It looks really good. Thank you for making it.
My pleasure. I bet you thought I had no cooking skills. Well, it's finally my time to shine. She laughed half-heartedly.
I look forward to seeing what you're capable of, Cooking Senpai.
No. No. Okay. She folded her blanket neatly over the chair beside her and then placed her arms on the table to form a pillow for her head. She sat with her head down until I set a bowl of soup beside her.
Oh, that looks so wonderful.
Doesn't it? Notice how we get money shots of her cooking, but when he cooks, nothing. Nothing. She leaned over the steaming bowl with her eyes closed, holding back her hair as she breathed in slowly. I used a lot of spices, They make all the difference when flavoring a dish, and I still don't understand how to use them. I gave her a little wink, and she
Bon appetit.
smiled. We both raised our steaming spoonfuls of soup, blowing on them softly. Only Mallory's exhalation turned raspy, hitched, and she started to cough. She dropped her spoon back into the bowl and held her hand to her throat. She drew a deep breath, looking dismayed.
I'm so sorry.
Too spicy?
No, I can't. I don't know why.
Mallory tried her best to stifle the coughs, with little success. A nervous laugh came out of my mouth. Those autumn allergies are so annoying, am I right? She didn't answer. She was breathing very slowly and focusing very hard on bringing a spoonful of soup to her mouth. She slurped it, and honestly, she looked like she wanted to throw up. This guy. I can't.
No, I.
Yeah, probably because you're a terrible chef. She was racked with another coughing fit. Her chest seemed to rattle with each breath. I couldn't stand seeing her like this. I went to her, rubbing her back as I pushed a glass of water into her hands. Ooh, I actually should answer that. Hello. Hey. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I'll just be a little more vigilant for him. Not a problem. Alright, sounds good. Bye. I need to be responsible later. I am so happy I have desktop audio muted. Holy shit. Okay. Here, drink some. She nodded and clutched the glass hard, trying her best to drink, while her chest heaved. A minute later, after she managed to take a few sips, she was able to breathe a little more easily.
I'm so sorry. I can't seem to stop.
You don't have to be sorry. Tears began to roll down her face. They splashed onto the table into her neglected soup bowl.
What if?
Shh. More tears dripped from her eyes. More coughs rattled in her chest. You don't have to worry. Everything will be okay, I state baselessly. All you need to do is rest and let me take care of you. This will pass. Like, that middle part is the only part that was worth saying, my dude.
I think I maybe just want to lie down.
Okay, I'll help you upstairs to bed. You'll be extra comfy there. She gave a small nod. Her eyes were puffy and red as she gathered her blankets into her arms. We headed for the stairs. I walked with her, taking the steps one at a time, and holding her in case she lost her strength. Her skin felt even hotter, burning me through her sleeve. She needed a fever reducer, that was certain. I made a mental note to check where the new bottle of aspirin I ordered would arrive. Yeah, but why does he care now? 'Cause he realized you can screw people too. Once we made it to the upper floor, Mallory pushed me away and started coughing into the blankets, doubling over and tried to muffle the sound of her pain. I unfurled the bed covers and helped her climb in, straightening out her collection of blankets and pulling all the covers up and over her.
All these blankets are so heavy. I can barely move.
Way to be, champ. That means you're tucked in safe and sound. I brushed her hair back, tracing the sides of her burning face with my fingertips. I'm gonna get you some water and things, and then I'll be back, okay? I hurried back downstairs and started loading up the tray with whatever. A few damp face cloths and her uneaten bowl of soup. I wanted her to have it right there beside her the minute she had an appetite. But of course, that wouldn't be enough. I racked my brain for anything I had in the house that could help drive down her fever. And then it hit me. My mother used to talk about the healing properties of basil and garlic. I couldn't quite recall the specifics, but it was something. And I had both of those items growing in my home. I rushed over to the kitchen to fill the kettle with water, and while that was coming to a boil, I darted into the aquaponics room. There were 4 medium-sized basil plants sitting happily under their grow lights, waiting for me to harvest their emerald petals. In the moment, my heart inflated twice its size, full of joy that I might finally be able to do something to help soothe Mallory's pain. I plucked a handful of leaves from all the basil plants, which were different strains, but I didn't think it would matter. Next, I dug out some garlic and extracted a homemade jar of honey that was sitting on the back shelf. Looking around at all the plants and fish, I did one last scan in case there was anything else I could use. On impulse, I spotted a bright red hibiscus flower in the room. I picked it. The lone flower had an unusually bright color amongst all the other dark leafy greens. Dashing back to the kitchen, I added the garlic, basil, and honey to a bowl of water. Concoction probably wouldn't taste very good, but I hope it soothed her throat and help with her cough. Delicately, I placed the flower on the tray along with a mug of freshly brewed tea. The smell was overpowering. Maybe she wouldn't be able to smell it. Ascending the stairs, I could hear Mallory coughing. She wasn't trying to stifle it anymore. I paused on the steps, waiting for her to finish, letting it out. A small groan followed the coughing fit. I climbed the rest of the way up the stairs, plastering what I hoped was an optimistic expression onto my face. Hey, I'm back. I brought you your soup in case you have an appetite, and I also have some tea that should help you with that cough. She pulled the covers close to her face in a poor attempt to hide herself. I rested the tray next to the bed and placed one of the damp cloths on her forehead. In the dim light of the bedside lamp, I could see the trickles of sweat on her face, neck, and breasts.
Thank you, but you're doing too much for me.
Uh-huh. Please, it doesn't feel like enough. Is there anything else I can get for you? Her expression turned into a perplexed one for a moment. Then she forced a little smile.
Well, now that you mention it, I could use some tissues.
Alright, I've got some in this drawer here. Ta-da! She took the packet of tissues and turned her face away, coughing a wet, guttural cough.
Why are you so determined to take care of me?
You know what, honey? I've been asking the exact same question for the past 2 streams. Her gaze was filled with hope and confusion. I took her hand in mine and gave a small squeeze. You would do the same for me, wouldn't you? Her lips parted and her eyes opened wide. She gave me a soundless nod of reassurance. It's a no-brainer. I care about you, and I want you to feel better. It's as simple as that. There was a long silence between us, then, exchanging our knowing looks with a gentle hand squeeze, I thought about the aspirin, the 20 or 30 pills that had disappeared in the space of a few days. Don't you fucking bring it up, you degenerate. Hey, I found the aspirin bottle, by the way. She gasped, pulling back her hand from mine to cover her face.
I'm so sorry. I should have said something sooner.
I mean, yeah, you should have. The riz on this man, I'm telling you. Was it for your leg to stop hurting, or did you know you were developing a fever? You know what? It doesn't matter. Fucking true. I placed an order for some more. It should be here tomorrow or the next day, I think. I want you to know that I'm grateful to have you here, and that I care about you very much. Parting her fingers to let her eyes peek through, she slowly lowered her defenses.
I don't want to be sick.
I know.
I don't want you to get sick.
I'm not worried about that.
You can't be near me. You need to stay away.
How is he gonna screw it up? I stretched out next to her on the bed, my face resting close to hers. I'm staying right here, by your side, no matter what. She turned to look at the tray of soup, with the water and tea beside it.
What a pretty flower. Where did it come from?
She reached over and gently picked up the scarlet blossom. From my fish garden, or whatever you call it. It must have opened up today. I don't remember seeing it when I fed the fish yesterday.
It's beautiful. What type of flower is it?
It's a hibiscus. They only bloom for a short while, so we're lucky to get to see it. She lay there with her eyes closed, with the flower pressed to her nose. The petals make a wonderful tea. I'll make you some with the other blossoms if you'd like. Mallory opened up her eyes but didn't look at me. She was staring into space, deep in thought. What is it?
Oh, nothing. The rain sounds nice. I think it's making me sleepy.
I wasn't quite believing that. It seemed there was something she didn't want to say. But I couldn't push her now. Let's fucking go. That's perfectly alright. You have sweet dreams now.
Good night.
I lay there watching her breathe, counting the minutes before each coughing fit, resting my hand on her burning chest so I could feel her heartbeat. I had been somewhere like this before, my parents. I had tried my best to care for them when they were sick. I'd been so afraid, but I hadn't gotten sick. Part of me almost wondered, even hoped, that I might be immune. Yep, he had COVID the whole time. That thought in the back of my mind hadn't eased my fear of strangers, of Mallory, when she first appeared in my life. But now I didn't care. Either way, all I wanted was for her to get better. Eventually, I drifted off to sleep too. Let's fucking go. I need to be responsible soon, hence that phone call you got to listen to. Woohoo! Thank you. I didn't have desktop audio play, or I'd be in so much DMCA trouble. Let's fucking go. Alright, well, we're finishing this tomorrow. I hoped to get it done today, but I was having fun with Harvestella, okay? I played the video game. This shit show will be over soon enough. Yeah, it just really doesn't feel earned, and it drives me up the wall. I can't stand it. Empathy out of nowhere. I hate it. Oh well, at any rate, that'll do it for today. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Jade, June, thank you for hanging out. VOD watchers, I love you. Stay safe. We're almost done with this. Oh my gosh, hooray. Well, that'll do. Take it easy. Have a good one. See you around.